Hello everyone, I'm Iranti, Customer Success Manager for Webex Contact Center. And today we're going to discuss how we can customize reports and dashboards in the Webex Contact Center Analyzer. When it comes to customizing reports and dashboards, the possibilities are endless. And as you can understand, it is an impossible task to cover off all such possible scenarios in a single video. Therefore, to keep things simple, in this video, I will take two real customer use cases and show how we can create custom reports and dashboards for these business requirements. To be more specific, first, we will create a custom historical report based on a real business use case, and then we will create a real-time report based on a similar business use case. Finally, we will combine these reports and create a custom dashboard. Let's look at our first business requirement. Sarah is a contact center manager, and her requirement is to see how many of their customers are abandoning before getting to an agent. In a single report, she wants to see a comparison between total incoming calls and abandoned calls, and she wants to be able to segregate this data at a queue level. Furthermore, she wants to display the data in a table format as well as in a line chart format. Based on the requirement we have been given, the first thing we need to do is to understand which repository we need to use to build the report. As we explained in a previous video in this series, there are 4 repositories, 2 for the customer and 2 for the agent. We also have a new repository called the Queue Records repository that provides reporting attributes at each single queue level a call travels through. When we read through the requirements, we can see that Sarah wants to see the data at a queue level. If we use the CSR or the customer session records to build the report, it will only give us the numbers for the last queue the call lands onto. Using CAR or the customer activity records is a possibility as it would show all the activities, but for this report, let's use the new Queue Records repository. Let's quickly jump onto the analyzer to see how we can create this report. The first thing that you need to do is log into the analyzer using your admin and supervisor credentials. Once you are logged into the analyzer, click on Create New Visualization. Let's select the repository, which is the Queue Records repository. Let's change the name of the report. And then I'll change the report type to historical. To do is to select this month, and I will leave everything else as default. Next, I need to add some profile variables. What do I mean by profile variables? Profile variables are nothing but visualization building blocks. They can be of 2 main types. We have fields, which are textual values like agent name, contact session ID, and queue name. And then we have measures. Measures are computed values, aggregations like connected duration and hold count. I will leave a link to the documentation in the description section, which would give you more details around the available profile variables and their definitions. So for the purpose of my report, I need to get a count of the total calls. So I will get the contact session ID. Once I select the profile variable, I can drag and drop it onto the reporting canvas. And here under the formula, you will see that there are 3 main options: count, value, and cardinality. So for the purpose of my report, I need a count. So therefore, I will select the count of contact session ID. And for this profile variable, I will add a filter as well, because I only need to report on the voice calls. I will add a channel type filter and filter it for the telephony channel type. Once I have selected the filter, I will click on Save. I need another profile variable. I'll again drag and drop the contact session ID onto the flow canvas. This time you can see that we only have the count and the cardinality option. The value option has disappeared. That's because when we dragged and dropped the first profile variable and we selected count, we decided that this report is going to be a count-based report. I will filter for the same channel type. I will select telephony, and on top of this, I need to add another filter because I'm not looking for normal call clearing. I am looking for abandoned calls. So I will add the handle type filter and I will select abandoned. Click on save. The next thing that I need to do is to add a row segment. A row segment allows to logically group the data under specific field-only values. And for this report, I will select the queue name as the row segment. So now I have a row segment queue name, and I have two profile variables, abandoned calls and total calls. Another important point to note is that you can change the position of the profile variables. You can drag and drop them. Let's save the report and see what the report looks like. I'll click on save and I will select a new folder. I will select the folder and save my report inside that folder. Once I have saved it, I can click on the preview button and it will take me to the report. So as you can see, we can see the queue name and the total calls as well as the abandoned calls. So I go back to the analyzer because I want to make a few more changes. I need to add an interval as well. So I will come down over here, click on compute, and under the interval section, I will select a daily interval. As soon as I add this, you can see that by default, the interval gets added to the horizontal axis or the column segment. And let's see what that looks like. When I click on preview, you can see this is what the interval looks like when I add it as a column segment, which is not really ideal. It's not easy to compare. So because of that, I will go back to my report and I will drag and drop this interval onto the row segment. Let's see what it looks like. This looks more ideal because it's easier to compare the queue name as well as the interval and then see what are the totals that you get for the total number of calls and the abandoned calls. Let's go back to the analyzer because I want to make some changes to the summarization. So I have a table level summarization. I want to add a queue level summarization as well. I'll click on queue name and then click on customize. Then I will specify the summarization as sum for the total as well as the abandoned calls. I'll click on save, save the report, and then click on preview. Then now you can see in this report, you see a summarization for each and every queue that you see in the report, apart from the table level summarization that you see at the bottom. Let's now build out the next report for Sarah. In Sarah's requirement, she wanted to have the same report in a line chart format. To achieve that, we need to change the output type from table to line chart. Once we do that, we can see there is no data available this type of chart. The reason for that is for certain output types, we need a horizontal axis as well. So what I would do is I would drag and drop the interval from the row segment onto the column segment. And then we see that the line chart gets populated with the data. So for this particular report, I don't need the table, so I will go and hide the table. And as you can see, the two profile variables are available. So you can see the total calls as well as the abandoned calls. These two profile variables will be displayed in two different colors in the line chart. I will save this as a new report in the same folder that we created. I'll save it and then let's click on preview. So you can see the line chart. The two different colors that you see, like I explained earlier, they are for the two profile variables, one for the total and one for the abandoned calls. Let's look at Jason's requirement. Jason is responsible for multiple teams within his company, and he wants a report that shows the real-time status of the agents that are available in the teams he is responsible for. He wants to be able to see the idle code if an agent is in an idle state and the duration of the current activity therein. He would also like to color code the report to make it visually easier to read. Like we did for the previous example, the first thing we need to do is to identify the repository we should be using. Since this is an agent level report, we have two options, ASR and AAR. Out of these options, AAR makes more sense as we're looking to report on agent activities. So let's select that as the repository for our next report. Let's create Jason's report. Create new visualization. Let's select the agent activity record repository. We'll give it a name. Save it. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to select the report type. Because we're looking for real-time data, we need to select the report type as real-time. And we will leave the duration as snapshot and the refresh rate as 5 seconds. And in the requirements, Jason also mentioned that he would like to have a color-coded report. So let's change the output type to column heat map. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to add row segments. So we need to specify the team name, the agent name, and also the activity state as row segments. And then for profile variables, I'm going to select the agent session ID. I'm going to get a count of the agent session ID, and that would give me the total agents that are logged in currently. If the agent has a multimedia profile that contains multiple channels, such as voice, email, and chat, then a single status change would create an entry for each of the channel types. To avoid any confusion, let's use the channel type filter to filter for telephony calls. So I'll add another agent session ID, and now I need to get the total available agents. So I'll add an activity state filter and then filter for available agents. And I will also add the channel type filter. I need another agent session ID because I need to get the total idle agents. I'll have the activity state and I'll select that as idle and the channel type as telephony. I'll save this. So the next column that we need to add is the duration of the current activity. So to get that, we can get the start time, activity start time. And once I have the activity start time, I can actually create a new formula to get the duration. So how I will do this is I will subtract the current timestamp from the activity start time, and that would give us the duration of that activity. So to do that, I'll right click on this and then click on new formula. I'll give it a name. I will say duration. And from here, I will just swap this activity timestamp to the next field. And then from the drop down, I will select the current timestamp, and then I will select the subtraction. Save this. And in my report, because I don't want to display the activity timestamp, I will just click on this I and then make it invisible. And I want to change the duration to the desired format. So I will right click on this and then we'll change the format to duration, and I will change it to HHMMSS. Okay, I think we missed out on adding the idle codes over here, so let's do that. Idle code name as a row segment. I believe we have everything we need, so we will save this. Let's create a new folder for Jason, and then save the report, and preview. So this is what the report looks like. I think I've added the idle code ID. So let's go back and change it to idle code name. That's what we need. Save this and preview. So we have the report that we're looking for. Let's see how we can create a dashboard using the combined reports that we just created. Let's click on dashboard, create new, give it a name, save it, and I will create the dashboard based on the reports that I created for Sarah. So I will click on the folder and we'll drag and drop the two reports that I created. So you can resize the reports any way you wish. Once you have done that, save it, and then you can preview. And this is the dashboard that we have created for Sarah. That's all for this video. Hope you found it useful. If you have any questions or any other topics you would like us to cover in a future video, please do let us know. Thank you very much for listening.